I'm Craig Kenneth, a relationship coach and a psychotherapist. Every relationship is different and every breakup is different. Work with me and you'll get professional help on your situation. And if you're in no contact focused on personal growth, my Knowledge Workbook series and Creative Healing course can help you make changes like you've never made before. Available now at AskCraig.net. Hi there, I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And in this video, we're going to be talking to you about Blindsided by a Breakup. Breakups out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm. People getting cold feet.
We're going to get to that. You know, sometimes we just have no idea that a breakup is coming. Mm-hmm. Now, sometimes it's because we haven't really listened to our partners and they haven't really been expressing things clearly. They might just say comments in passing about things that they're unhappy about. But sometimes they don't say anything at all. And sometimes they just leave you or break up with you. And sometimes they leave you wondering what the status of the relationship is. Are we even broken up? I haven't talked to them in 6 years. Are we broken up? They never said anything.
And it's so confusing because it really messes with your reality sometimes. When a breakup happens so suddenly, there's no sense of predictability. There's no sense of continuity with anything in life. Sometimes couples are living together. Sometimes they share certain routines together. And for all of that to come to a halt can be really, really jarring and really difficult to work through.
Yeah, you feel like you're kind of lost. Mm-hmm. Because it's like, I don't know where to go. I don't know what to do. This person who I felt so connected with and like, you know, so close to, all of a sudden is just gone. And I don't understand what happened. You know, I think kind of automatically start beating ourselves up and thinking that it was something that we did. And it's a terrible feeling.
Yeah.
I had a guy really beating himself up today. And, you know, it was very clear in this particular situation that it had to do with this woman's mental health. It was extremely poor to the point where she had even attempted suicide. Wow. And yet he couldn't understand that it was about her mental health more so than anything he had done wrong. Mm-hmm. He was really struggling to see that.
Yeah, it can be really challenging. You know, we try to come up with reasons. We try to understand it when we can't. And sometimes there's things that are right in front of our eyes that we're blinded to because we've been in a relationship with this person. Yep. So we're going to talk a little bit about how and why these blindsided breakups happen, kind of help you get a better understanding of them. Could be related to your situation, so listen up. Mm-hmm. We want to talk about attachment styles. So this can happen for both somebody who's anxious or avoidant. Right? Somebody who's more anxious could have more people-pleasing tendencies. They might keep concerns to themselves out of fear that you will abandon them, or they might bring up those concerns in small little comments. They don't want to rock the boat too much. Mm-hmm. What this can end up doing is build resentment over time until they explode, until the day they say, I can't anymore. This thing has been bothering me for years. I'm out.
A lot of times they've been neglected and they've tried to express it to you, but you didn't quite get why they were so upset by it. And finally, they're like, I can't take this anymore. Yeah. This thing has been bothering me so much. I couldn't take it. And they just leave. And you didn't understand how much it was truly building up inside of them.
Mm-hmm. And triggers can be anywhere. So they could see maybe their close friend is getting all this love from their partner. Maybe it's a newer relationship and they're feeling envious of that. And now the light has shed on their relationship. Mm-hmm. Wait a minute, I'm not getting all these nice things done for me. I'm not getting flowers. I'm not getting the princess treatment here. And
or they get attention from someone else.
That as well.
That's a big one.
That as well. And so these things can cause a relationship to suddenly end and you're thinking, what the heck? Why didn't I get any warning here? Why wasn't there a conversation? I would have done all these things. I would have done more if I would have known, right? But a person reaches their limit, and when they do, you know, it can be difficult to try to convince them back or work them back, because at that point they probably think, man, if I try to talk to them about this, they're not going to listen. Mm-hmm. They're not going to change. Right.
Yeah, and like sometimes if there's somebody new in the picture, which happens because they've been feeling neglected, and all of a sudden somebody makes them feel cared about and special, and they're like, I tried telling you, and so I just couldn't take it anymore. What it's not like I didn't tell you these things and you didn't do anything about it. Why would you all of a sudden want to do something about it?
Yeah.
When I told you before. You always have to think about the consequences that can come from how emotionally attuned or neglectful you are in that connection.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is a really big deal. Another scenario that can happen is they could be building a secret case that you don't know about.
It's like the government.
What's that, the government?
I don't know.
A lot of government
Can't
references.
trust the government these days.
So your partner might have just like this repertoire of things that they've clocked, right? Things that they've just noted down throughout the relationship that they haven't brought up until they have enough. Until they have enough to leave. Now, this depends. This may or may not be toxic, right? In certain situations, you do want to let somebody be who they are and kind of just notice those things and then make a decision. In other cases, you do want to bring up your concerns and be able to have that kind of a conversation. So this is kind of one of those case-by-case kind of situations. Now, some of you might have that attitude, we talk about this sometimes, where you don't think that your partner will leave. And so you just act any which way, thinking that they are going to stay no matter what, right? So this goes back to how you treat your partner is so, so, so important.
Yep.
Right? Okay.
Yeah.
So avoidant attachment.
Avoidant attachment. It's a big one.
This is a big one.
It's so hard for anxious people to truly understand what it feels like to be an avoidant. Because, you're so different inside in the way that you feel things and see things and the things that you value and care about, right? The anxious person cares about that connection so much that they could not, oftentimes, think, oh, I could never neglect that person. Whereas the avoidant doesn't necessarily value the connection that way, and that they're more practical a lot of times, depending upon the person. And it's not black and white, right? It's like a spectrum, right? Like you fall somewhere on there and you can go different places based on what's going on in your life and the connection and how the relationship is going. So just understand that you can be slightly avoidant or you can be extremely avoidant. And people are going to be fluid in that. So don't just assume that it's this kind of black and white thinking. It's not. And so, depending upon what is going on in the relationship, maybe if things are fairly status quo, they're okay. Maybe they're feeling a little frustrated or uncertain about things. Whereas opposed to all of a sudden, if you start putting all this pressure on them to maybe spend time with your family or for the commitment to get to the next level or something like that, now all of a sudden they're going to get more scared. They're going to be more likely to feel overwhelmed and want to run away.
Right. And I'll tell you, with exes who are avoidant, a lot of the circumstances that I see are it's after a trip, like a vacation together, or before a trip, or before a big move, moving in together, or getting married, getting engaged, around those types of commitments and kind of like incremental steps into a closer relationship.
I see a lot of breakups around vacations, a lot. And traveling, while it's supposed to be this wonderful, amazing thing, it's very stressful in a lot of different ways. Making the flight and having to know where you're going, worrying about your luggage, worrying about the hotel, thinking about, and just disconnecting from work back home.
Yeah.
And so, and then you're being sometimes in a small room with somebody, so you don't have space from them. And people are tired from traveling, so they're getting on each other's nerves. There's a lot of different reasons I see a lot of breakups around a vacation, even like maybe like before a honeymoon or something like that. It's crazy.
It's true. And it's interesting because some people would view a vacation as almost like a mini experiment of how do we do together as a couple for, I don't know, several days at a time, staying in the same place, right? Some of you who don't live together, with your partner or whatever. And it's interesting because a vacation is so different from what living together with a partner would look like, right? Or
yes,
what daily life
true.
would look like. So sometimes you're not actually getting an accurate picture of what it would be like to build a life with somebody based on your, vacation to Bali. So it's interesting. People can make decisions about ending a relationship based on a vacation because they think, man, this is how the rest of our relationship is going to go. The pressure, the commitment around it. So these are things that happen.
Yeah, there's a lot of unique stressors that come with a vacation.
Mm-hmm. Right. And relationships can be seemingly going well. Sometimes somebody who's more avoidant will come on really strong. Sometimes they will suggest the trip, suggest, the next step. Let's move in together. Let's do all these things.
Yeah.
But when they're faced with the actual decision, right? When they're faced with things practically coming into place. Oh, now you're going to have to, show your partner your boogers and, go through your nightly routine with them. And you have to figure out waking up early and making it work. Then it can get very intense.
Mm-hmm.
So these are things that can scare them away the moment that fear strikes.
And not only that, there could, in regards to the vacation, people can want to do different things on a vacation. Some people can be very active. Some people want to lounge around by the pool. And that could be a very different situation for both people and experience for both people, because they're like, you don't want to do anything. You just want to lay by the pool. And the other person's like, yeah, you constantly want to be on the go, and I just want to lay by the pool and have a drink. So
you have to manage a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot of different reasons I see breakups and vacations. But if you went on a vacation and come back, you might be going through a breakup.
That's right. And the reason why we were laughing at the cold feet earlier in the video is because we were talking about next commitment steps. And I was saying, it's interesting how even the term cold feet came about. This happened enough times for this to be like a saying, for this to be something that we know about, to where I can say cold feet and most people imagine, the wife at the altar or the husband at the altar, ready to ditch it and leave it. So Craig was saying, imagine the first person
my
to do
guess,
it.
this was my guess, okay? My guess was that, how did they come up with this term? I said, what about like people getting into the water at like the ocean and they got their feet in there like, oh no, it's cold, I'm getting out of here. That was my best guess. But then we looked it up and it was even more bizarre an answer.
It was like based off of some German and Italian folklore or literature, something like that, where they were gambling, and if they sat for too long and were going through many losses, their feet would get cold. And so that's the nervousness of, oh no, if I continue to stay here, my feet are going to get cold, I'm going to lose more money, is our best interpretation of that.
Yeah, it was very confusing. Yeah. We're like, what is this? Mine made way more sense.
Right.
Dip your toe in the pool, cold? No, I'm not getting in there, I'm out.
So the idea here, what we're trying to say is, when somebody who's more avoidant is getting into a relationship, more commitments come about, they get cold feet, right? Okay. They get scared of the commitment. Another big reason as to why we see blindsided breakups is impulsivity. Now, this can be related to mental health, and I tell you this just because I've seen it more in the clinical side of things. When somebody is depressed enough, they will do anything to not feel that way. Right? And that can mean ending a relationship. That can mean revamping their entire life and rearranging what everything looks like.
Yep.
And that means cutting out some people, even people who have been helpful, even people who have been great supports. Right? So there is an impulsive part of these blindsided breakups that I do see quite commonly. And I want to bring that up.
Their mental health is struggling so much that they feel like it's the only thing they can do to survive in that moment.
Right? And it could be related to trauma. I've had several callers recently that would tell me about, their partner's past experiences, and it's almost like they're trying to reenact it or relive it with them, right? And it's completely different time, completely different situation, but they're bringing up many things that have happened to them from their past. So trauma can be one of those things that causes somebody, being re-triggered by trauma can be one of those things that causes somebody to impulsively end a relationship. It can be something like an existential crisis. It can be, a trigger that has caused them to remember past experiences, that's caused them to say, I need to push everybody away, I need to distance, I need to isolate, I need to protect myself, puts them back into that survival mode. And so sometimes this can often come with other impulsive decisions. Sometimes you'll see people leaving a relationship that's been super supportive to them, also getting a ton of tattoos. Now they're traveling to Bali.
Yeah, they've cut their hair, they've dyed it purple, and now they're dating a biker who lives on the other side of the country, who's in a gang, right?
So
wouldn't surprise me at all.
Impulsive decisions, right? Nothing wrong with tatted baddies with purple hair, right? But we're saying if somebody acts so out of character all of a sudden, right? So like if somebody who was super tatted just got all their tattoos removed, if they dyed their hair back to normal. The point is that they're acting so dramatically different and making impulsive decisions in other areas of life too.
Yes.
Is what you'll see. So if you were going through a blindsided breakup, it can really shake up what your sense of reality is. You're thinking, did they care for me? How are they able to leave this relationship easily? And what does that mean about our relationship?
I literally had a guy on the phone today crying, saying that. I don't know how they could do that.
Yeah.
It's awful.
I heard something recently that I think was a really beautiful reframe of that. And it was something along the lines of being grateful that you don't understand. Right? We're talking a lot about these different mental health issues that can bring up somebody, ending something so quickly, so impulsively, something that was good, something that was healthy, right? Now, they might have their own experience, their own viewpoint, but sometimes it's not a bad thing when we can't understand why another person does the things that they do, right? Because we are us.
True. Good point.
So remind yourself that your relationship was real. Just because somebody ends it abruptly doesn't mean that your relationship has any less value.
Yeah. Yeah, it's easy to fall into that thought of they never really cared. No, that's not how it is. Just because, they're struggling with something, or maybe their feelings changed, or whatever it could be. It doesn't mean that they didn't care at the time.
Right. And while we might not understand something emotionally, we might think, well, I would never do that. We can try to have some kind of framework, some kind of theory here to make it make sense. And that's what we hope that we've provided to you somewhat in this video for you to look back and say, okay, what here might be relevant? How can I just try to begin to understand this? And we find that for a lot of people, us included, that can bring about more peace.
And obviously, you could talk to us about
that.
That too. When we're sitting there talking to you and hearing your story, we're going to be able to give you a lot clearer answer than a general video that might have some things that connect with your situation, but not everything. Whereas opposed, when we're talking to you, we can break down all the different factors, all the different things that you're telling us, and give you our thoughts about it.
Exactly.
Okay, so hopefully this one's been helpful to you. And of course, if you want to get our help personally, you could do that on my website, askcraig.net. I do email coaching and I do Zoom calls. Coach Victoria is also available for Zoom calls.
I'm here whenever you'd like to chat.
Just click on her name at the top of the website to schedule with her. But that's it for this video. I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And we will talk with you soon.